And we are live. Nashville Lou live on the air. Congratulations, Indiana University. National champions in American football. I never thought I'd see that happen. It's absolutely wild. Congratulations, Charlie Becker from Father Ryan High School. He just won a national championship. He had a couple of clutch catches in that game. Oh my goodness, that one fourth down catch. How'd he stay in bounds? What a performance. And a great showing by Miami as well. Indiana beats Miami in Miami. Hoosiers are national champions in American college football. For my international viewers, that might not mean much, but I assure you for my NFL audience in particular and U.S. fans, a big deal over here. The live on Blaze tonight. Yeah, give it the hype, give it the push there. MockDraftNFL.com and on DraftKing.com. I'll go through this mock draft here real fast. Effective. Well, UTC, January 20th. It's already past midnight in the Eastern time zone anyway. So a lot of this is the same as it was recently. As in yesterday, the day before, whatever it was, the last time I solidified it. You got Fernando Mendoza, who just won a national championship tonight, won the Heisman Trophy. He actually still has a year of eligibility left, but you figure he's going pro. A lot of defense, and an offensive line as well early, but Arvell Reese to the Jets. They've got to get a playmaker. They didn't have a single interception last season. Spencer Fano. I'm not sure if he really will be the first offensive tackle taken, or if the Cards will go tackle here. They've got some needs at a few spots. But Fano can play right tackle, and that's what they would need him to do. If they took him at 3. I've got David Bailey going to the Titans. Tremendous edge rusher. One of several great ones in the class. Parnell Tate, receiver to the Giants at 5. Francis Mauigoa. Cece going to the Browns at 6. Browns had the pick at number 24 as well. And there's a thought that maybe the Browns would go receiver here or offensive tackle, and then the other. Like if you get a receiver here, you go offensive tackle at 24 or vice versa. Now, it usually doesn't actually work out that way, but the way that team needs look right now, that does match up. Commanders, Reuben Bain Jr., tremendous edge rusher. Jeremiah Love to the Saints. And if Love's not there for the Chiefs, I think they'll go Kenyon Sadiq. Kenyon Sadiq had a great season for the Oregon Ducks. And Caleb Downs. There's not been a safety, a pure safety. They're going the top 10 of the NFL draft in 10 years. It's not happened since 2016. So we'll see. It was Indiana victorious over Miami. You see, Miami's got plenty of talented players that likely be in this first round. But Indiana getting the victory tonight. National champions, the Hoosiers. Shout out Rob Johnson at WSAZ Television. Huntington, West Virginia. I don't think Rob ever thought this day would come, but here we are. And that's true for a whole bunch of Hoosiers fans. Now we got basketball, but it hadn't happened until now. It's really something. It's Miami. I've got them going corner. McCoy. If he can prove he's healthy, he's got the goods. Mansour Delane. Cowboys have it could go with an edge here, but depending on who's on the board. Delane. If he's not the best corner, he's one of the top 2 or 3, the way it looks now. Again, this is still a relatively broad brush as far as the way you look into this. There's still more than 3 months until the draft, but things start to get a bit more lined up at this point. The Rams have 2 first-rounders. Here at 13, I've got going Jordan Tyson. Now, this represents a bit of a slide compared to where some have Tyson. Tremendous playmaker. Explosive, really talented player. When he's healthy, he really give you that extra boost. He could go top 5 or top 6, but he was on the board at 13. Nice pickup for the Rams. That's the pick they got from the Falcons. They're still going. That win in Chicago. What a game that was. Ravens at 14. I've had this matched up for a while. Peter Woods, really good defensive tackle out of Clemson to the Ravens. This has Keldrick Falk sliding just a bit. The Bucks need a linebacker. They maybe look at a corner, but if Falk is there, edge is also a need. Makes sense for the Bucks at 15. At 16, Jets from the Indianapolis Colts, Avion Terrell. I think you got to get a corner. I know that's got them taking Arvell Reese at 2, going defense for the Jets, but I think it makes sense. They had 0 interceptions last season. That's just unheard of. Never happened. 17 games and 0 interceptions. So, wholesale changes on some level, whether it's the draft, free agency, trades, whatever. It's got to happen for the Jets. They got to turn things around. 17, the Lions, Caden Proctor. Super talented, massive. One of the largest offensive tackles in the class this year. But when he's on, he's got the goods physically. The Vikings, they need defensive tackle help. Maybe go corner, but here, Caden McDonald, 9.5 tackles for loss this past season. That gets you moved up consideration-wise. As an interior defensive lineman, you're getting that many tackles for loss recorded. So McDonald to the Vikings at 18. At 19, the Panthers. Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State. Hakeem Mesidor had a really good game tonight in a losing effort for Miami. He's been moving up draft board. He's 25 years old, or he will be by the time the season starts. So that's kind of old by relative standards, but he's legit. He'll be ready to go right away. And so that's something Dallas needs, which is why I like that matchup in particular. If you're going to go with a guy that's 25, like you've seen some players that have come out a little bit older, NIL money making it more viable. Mesidor a bit of an outlier at 25, but still. He can go. We saw it tonight. And here he's going Dallas at 20. Pittsburgh at 21. Ty Simpson. You're going to see a lot of this. We'll see. I don't know. The Steelers, Aaron Rodgers is done. He's not coming back there. So they have to do something. I don't know if Ty Simpson's the answer, but he certainly believes he's going to be a first-round pick. He wouldn't come out otherwise, I don't think. It's weird with Simpson. 23 years old, but he has fewer than 20 career college starts. And typically that's not a very strong indicator of good things to come for the NFL for a quarterback. Yeah, fewer than that. But going up in Martin, Tennessee, not that far from here. UT Martin. Growing up in the business, his father was a coach for many, many years. So it's a little different for Simpson, not just some athlete that got thrown in there and had some impressive games. Maybe doesn't have the years in background where Simpson does. And he wasn't going to transfer, I don't think. And he wanted to be an Alabama quarterback, and that's what his legacy is now. And if it goes to 21 to the Steelers, if that works out, then that's probably the best for him. At 22, Vega, Ione going to the Chargers. Sometimes you got to be careful with this business, not to get too attached to a player and a spot. But I really like Vega going to the Chargers because it fits a need the way at least it is now. Free agency hits, and a bunch of needs get flipped around and things change. But the way it looks now, Vega to the Chargers, be a great matchup. Lemon to the Eagles, I feel less. I don't know if Lemon's going to actually be there at 23. I don't think the Eagles are going to deal A.J. Brown. I think conflict that was there, an offensive coordinator, will be alleviated. But still, you need receivers in the NFL, and Lemon's talented. There's a lot. I mean, you'll see the Eagles. Sometimes it's one of the more interesting teams to look at. I'll look at a lot of mock drafts. I go through a lot. And where you see a lot of variance, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay attention here. See if we see any trends. And there's not really a trend because the Eagles, for being as stacked as they are, they've got some needs at a bunch of different positions. Doesn't last for long in the NFL, that post-Super Bowl buzz. What have you done for me recently? Cleveland, pick they got from Jacksonville on the day of the draft last year. Denzel Boston, receiver from Washington, 6'4". So if Cleveland goes with a tackle at 6, offensive tackle, likely either Fano or Malagoa, maybe Proctor. In that case, you go receiver here, maybe. If you want to go offensive tackle and receiver, looking at team needs and perceptions. Thinking the Browns aren't going to go quarterback. They still have to deal with Deshaun Watson's rough contract. That set them back for years. Between that and Tua Tagovailoa with Miami Dolphins, those rolling guarantees for mid quarterbacks, bad for business. It's Nashville New Live. Going through my latest 2026 NFL mock draft. Got to play some Forsaken Blitz earlier against Onyx. Had a lot of fun with that. Looking forward to playing a lot more War's Taken Blitz soon. That game is so much fun to stream. Only just begun with it. At 25, the Bears. I don't know what to make with the Bears. A heartbreaker for Bears fans. That fight they managed to somehow force overtime against the Rams, but it didn't happen in overtime. Anyway, Caleb Banks. There's not much tape from last season because he was injured for much of it. But he's uniquely gifted, like most of the linemen that are listed in this draft. There's a reason that like these super athletic guys that are like 6'5", 6'6", if you don't say it, 6'7", they got the size, but they're also super athletic to the point of being freakishly so. And there's so much pressure for the NFL to get any kind of defensive blitz, interior defensive pressure, is especially at a premium. So if Banks is able to show off his physical skills, like with a lot of these guys, he's going to impress people at those workouts. 26 Buffalo Bills. Bills fans, y'all made the playoffs with 8 of the last 9 years, and you fired your head coach. Coaching's a tough business in a related note. Man. Just getting to the playoffs isn't good enough, even though it's hyper competitive. So we'll see what changes are coming to the Bills. I know there are a lot of players there that are less than thrilled about it. Casey Concepcion, one of several receivers vying for consideration in that late first round range. San Francisco 49ers. We got 11 players in for Twitchy Tides. We're getting to that next. Monroe Freeling to the 49ers. Interior offensive lineman. That's a thought, at least he'd be playing. You can play in multiple spots. A bit of a riser has been showing up here in a lot of first-round mocks, including mine. At 28, going, again, offensive tackle, interior style with Emmanuel Pregnon, guard from Oregon. He was out of eligibility. He had to go pro. Most of the guys Oregon managed to keep. It was really something. 29, the Rams. And again, this is subject to how the NFC and AFC championship games play out and how the Super Bowl plays out. Or these final 4 spots, but the Rams, Chris Johnson, they need corner help on Chris Johnson. You get a receiver earlier, one that slides. Go corner here at Johnson at 29. There'll be a lot of corners in consideration late this first round. At 30, the Patriots, TJ Parker. There's several edge candidates that I think the Patriots will look at here. Parker will be right in that mix. 31, a very popular one, CJ Allen, linebacker, Georgia to the Broncos. Broncos without Bo Nix. If they can somehow make the Super Bowl without Bo Nix, man, what a story that'd be. That's going to be tough. And then 32, Seattle. Brandon Cisse. I'm going through these names. Okay, I got to make sure I know these pronunciations. It's pronounced Cisse. Really good corner. South Carolina Gamecocks. A lot of mock drafts of Seattle going corner. Just a question of who's it going to be. And at this point, we're still, again, broad brush strokes at this point. But you're starting to see certain names show up, and not just from random people, but people that actually know things. So that's the thought with this mock draft, my latest.